Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
So our Tea in the Streets is our segment where we talk about things that are going on in the world. Sometimes we talk about pop culture, but oftentimes we like to use our platform to talk about things that are important and things that are serious as well. So this is a case that happened very, very close to home, not too far from our office here. And so I wanted to talk about it because it's just getting a lot of attention, and I just want to make sure that we touch on it as well, especially because it is so close to home. So there was a 12-year-old girl named Jocelyn. Can you say her last name?
Jocelyn Nungaray.
There you go. She is a 12-year-old girl who her body was recently found in a creek up here in North Houston. And when I found that out, and you always think about where were you, or like, you know what I mean, with things like that. And I'm like, man, I drive past that location all the time. And so it was these two women, they were in the early 20s. She snuck out of her house, went down to a 7-Eleven. They're still investigating whether she knew them or had some sort of communication with them. But they assaulted her in various different ways, and then put her in the unalived her and put her in the creek, and she was found 6 hours later. There was a lady who drove by, and she was like, "Is that a mannequin?" and got out and quickly found out. So thankfully, it was all found out very quickly. Some of these cases, sometimes it takes a while, and so thankfully it did. The parents were able to get that kind of closure sooner. But
I think when I heard this story, when I heard this story, it hit home. I think about my grandchildren and, of course, my children when they were that age. Two things. My heart goes out to a mother and a father whenever you lose a child, but so tragically. And again, come on, we got to pay more attention to our children. What I mean by that is we think about it at 12 years old. Out at midnight. What is really going on? There was some signs. I'm sure there were some things going on with this 12-year-old that felt the need that it's okay for me to unlock the door and walk outside at 12 o'clock. Pay attention.
Well, it goes back to when I was 18.
Yeah.
I was driving to my parents' home, stopped to get gas. A guy comes, and this was in Nassau Bay. Guy comes and puts his hand on my arm. And I had the gas nozzle, and some instinct told me to pull my hand pull it, and back then it was different. The nozzles were different, and I said, "You want to back up?" And the attendant saw the guy. He called the cops immediately. And there was another guy that comes by on the other side and goes, "Come on, she's so young." And they take off. The cops come.
Wow.
I could have been taken.
Yes, literally.
And I was just going to my parents' home. I had moved out.
Wow.
And it's just evil people in the world.
It's some sick people out there, and we just got to be careful. And, we got to talk to our children. Thank God that you had enough wit at yourself. But can you imagine at 12?
No.
Can you imagine at 12? You don't even have the skill to be able to recognize I'm in danger.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, 12 years old. Wow.
And you don't even know how maybe to defend yourself either. No. And I'm very big on telling young women, and I'm not saying that this was the case with her. I'm just saying young women in general.
Yeah.
If an older guy, if you're 15, 16, 17 years old, and a guy in his 20s wants to, that is not cool. I think it's seen as cool. I was that age not too long ago, right? And I think about how, I knew girls and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool or whatever. But then as you get older, you're like, that is so not cool. Any guy in his 20s.
Guy that's wanting to talk to a child. Predator. It's predator wrong for sure. With you. It's something off there, and it's not cool. And so if you have some friends or you're caught up in that situation, just talk to someone.
And another thing I'm gonna add is a lot of these females want to be valued. They want to be seen. They want to be. They appreciate an older gentleman saying something to them makes them feel womanish, should I say,
Mhm.
and it's flattering for them. And somehow we need to communicate to the children, keeping a place of childhood inside of them, valuing
Yeah.
that space long as you can.
The innocence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it goes back to
It is, but you also have to be willing to break the ugly truth to your kids so that they pay attention, listen to you.
Yeah.
And
you know.
I think it goes back to the conversation at home, having a conversation.
Mhm.
It goes back, what would make my child
Mhm.
want to leave out of the home
Yeah.
at that time? So
Yeah.
that didn't just happen that day.
Right.
That was a buildup of
For
some
sure.
things that
Yeah.
were
Well, and
happening.
I think about it too. She walked down to a 7-Eleven, and
Mhm.
there's video footage of her. I've only seen like little clips, not clips, like snippet, like pictures of it.
Yes.
And it looks like it really seems like, because she was wearing like jeans and stuff. She didn't go in her pajamas. It really sounds like, and this girl had probably done it before.
Yes.
She probably walked down and probably just wanted to get a snack.
Yes.
Because she was on the phone with her boyfriend. So it's not like she was meeting up with the boyfriend. She was just talking to him. She
That's
probably
it. You
went
see
down
that?
to just
But-
go get
And I
snacks.
don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
Right there,
Mhm.
12 years old boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yes,
Think
that
about
too.
that.
Mhm.
There
Yeah.
is something, and again, please don't shoot the messenger. I'm talking as a mother and a grandmother.
Yeah.
And that was once young. 12 years old boyfriend. What's really going on there?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
I
can,
mean, raising my children, my daughter came home at the age of 10 and told me stories, and my mouth just dropped.
yes, yes.
And,
to that.
and that was, my daughter's 20, almost 27 now.
Yeah.
And I was in shock.
Yeah.
I mean,
Talk to your
Yeah.
children.
Well,
Yeah.
even, and it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be at night. I mean, I know when Abby was in junior high and, as a parent, she had to take the bus, the
Mhm.
school bus,
Mhm.
and not that I mean, it can happen anywhere. Right.
Right.
So she would like get off the bus and have her
Mhm.
little phone. And I was like, don't be walk home and pay attention to your
to what's
surroundings.
going on.
As soon as you get home, you can
Do what you got to do.
that sort of thing. And then
Yeah.
I think she thought I was crazy. One time we had there was a house being built
Mhm.
next door to us,
Mhm.
and I'm not home yet, and it's
Yeah.
all male construction. I was like, go to the friend's house until
Right.
I get home. Like,
Yeah.
don't.
Don't go home.
I don't want them to see her walking into her house by herself.
Right.
Yeah.
So just things
That's
like
it.
that
Yeah.
you have to think about it in the middle of the day too.
Yeah, pay
Yes.
attention.
People are next door to you every day, and they see this
Mhm.
little girl coming
Yeah.
home by herself every
Mhm.
day.
Yes.
And
And-
predators
Always
been
changes.
around forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Forever.
they've been around forever.
Do you know the story about the Muffin Man in England? It's actually based off a predator that used to lure children in corners in London with muffins and used to take them, kill them.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Oh, unalive.
Unalive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's how these men lured Jocelyn. They asked her for directions, and who asked a 12-year-old girl
For
for
direction.
directions?
Direction.
And
Why
there,
not
there's kind of
ask
this
the
thing that a lot of
attendant?
people say to their
Yeah.
children when they're trying to teach them stranger danger is that like an adult shouldn't ask a child for help for anything.
Right.
Not to help you keep a secret, not to help you with directions.
That's right.
Help me move. No, what is a child gonna do?
Do.
Mhm.
Right.
So that's something that I think, and that's why I want to talk about it too, is, you can't control your children. Your children are going to do what they're going to do. As a parent, I'm not a parent, but I feel like you can do the best you're going to do and something could
Yeah.
still happen.
Yes.
But it's important to teach your children to protect themselves and to
Yeah.
because she had her phone with her. Had she called her mom stayed in the 7-Eleven and it's one thing to say like, oh, this could have happened. But had she stayed in the 7-Eleven and called her mom and said, hey, I snuck out. I'm at 7-Eleven. Come pick me up. These weirdo guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But, they seek out vulnerable people.
And you
Yeah,
have to,
they
and
do.
you have to
We
let
didn't talk to strangers
They
coming
can
up
tell.
in the 60s. When a stranger asks you something, all the kids would yell, stranger, stranger, and everybody start running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't do that. So maybe y'all need to go back to the 50s
Yeah,
and
we did.
60s, the way we thought back then.
Well, you have to make your kids feel safe too. That in that case, like, call your mom.
Yeah.
You're not going to get
Yeah.
in trouble
Trouble.
if you
Call
need
your
help.
mom.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
You'll
don't.
get in trouble, but you'll still be alive.
You'll be okay.
Yeah.
Kids,
Exactly.
12-year-olds don't think like
They
that.
don't think like
They're like,
that.
I'm not going to call. I snuck out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you got to know.
Yeah.
And if you
everybody's
feel-
too trusting too these days.
that's what Sean teaches me.
Yes.
Yeah.
too
It's-
trusting.
You can't trust anyone.
Right.
Trust
Yeah.
no one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because
Trust no one.
Stop that.
So that might be the quote of the day.
There you go.
Yeah.
That was trust no one. There you go. That's a good
And
one.
if you feel
Unless
like
they fill your cup.
and if you feel like you're in danger, they always say make a scene.
Make a
Scream,
Yeah.
yell crazy stuff, especially a child. If you hear a child, and I saw this on TikTok where they taught their children, some small children, if someone is making you uncomfortable, start screaming curse words.
Yeah.
Because that's going to get someone's attention. Someone's going to be like, what's wrong with this child screaming curse? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They say make a scene, scream curse words,
Mhm.
Do
like,
something that's
to
going to
draw
draw attention to
attention.
yourself.
yeah.
All righty then. We're going to keep it.